you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Livin the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here, coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego, and welcome back to the Livin the Dream podcast. And today, we're tackling something that holds so many people back from living authentically: the need to be liked. If you have ever said yes when you really wanted to say no, if you have ever avoided conflict just to keep peace, if you have ever felt like you had to shrink yourself just in order to fit in, then this episode is going to hit home for you. In chapter 3 of the book Make Change That Lasts by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, he shares his own struggles with people pleasing and how to break free from the need for validation, and how that need for validation and breaking free from it changed his life. And today we're diving into why relying on the approval of others is keeping you stuck, and how to finally set healthy boundaries that serve you. So let's get into it. The day that changed everything for Dr. Chatterjee. He recalls a painful memory from his teenage years. At the age of 14, he ran onto the school field to join his group of friends, only for them to smirk, turn their backs, and walk away. No explanation, no warning, just pure rejection. And that moment changed him. Instead of looking for people who accepted him for who he was, accepting him as he was, he changed himself just to fit in. He became this shape shifter, molding his personality to whoever he was around, saying, I don't mind, when choosing a restaurant, pretending to like things that he didn't, just to be accepted. And while this strategy helped him avoid rejection, it also came at a huge cost. He lost himself. There is a hidden cost of people pleasing. Here's the thing: being nice isn't the same as being authentic. When we're so focused on making others happy, we suppress our real thoughts and feelings. We lose sight of what we actually want, and we end up feeling frustrated and resentful. Dr. Chatterjee realized this firsthand when he started dating his wife, Vidi. He thought being the perfect boyfriend meant always agreeing, meant always accommodating, and meant never rocking the boat. If she couldn't decide what to order at a restaurant, he'd say, hey, how about you get both, and I'll take whatever you don't want. But instead of being impressed, she was just frustrated. She didn't want someone who just went along with everything. She wanted someone who had their own mind. And that's the lesson. People aren't drawn to doormats. They're drawn to people who know who they are and stand by it. Here's the really harsh truth. If you rely on others for approval, you'll never be free. We can't control how others see us, no matter what we do. There will always be someone who doesn't like us. And you know what? That's okay. Think of the most charismatic, self-assured people that you know. Do they bend and twist themselves to fit in? Do they constantly seek validation from others? No, they are completely comfortable being themselves. And that's why people are drawn to them. Dr. Chatterjee calls this the gift of yourself. The gift of yourself. When you embrace who you truly are, you give something valuable to the world, your uniqueness. But when you people please, you withhold that gift. When being liked comes at a cost, People pleasing isn't just emotionally exhausting, it's actually physically harmful too. Dr. Chatterjee shares the work of Dr. Gabor Mate, who found that chronic people pleasers, those who suppress their emotions and prioritize others at their own expense, they are more likely to develop autoimmune diseases. They are more likely to develop stress-related conditions and even cancer. Why? Because when we ignore our true needs, we create chronic stress that wears down our health. We create emotional suppression that leads to anxiety and depression. We create burnout and resentment from always giving and never receiving. And this is where boundaries come in. We have to learn to build better boundaries. Boundaries aren't about being selfish. They're about protecting your energy, your time, and your mental health. Think of a boundary like the front door to your house. You don't just let anyone walk in, right? You control who enters and under what conditions. The same applies to your life. You have to decide what's okay and what's not to let in your front door. Dr. Chatterjee's personal boundary, he realized his sleep was the foundation of everything. So he made a rule: no serious conversations after 7:30 p.m. No finances, no work talk, nothing that would disrupt his wind down time. And at first, it caused some friction in his relationship. But over time, people respected it. His wife respected it. And that's the thing about boundaries. They might upset people at first, but they lead to healthier relationships in the long run. When you disrupt the status quo, people push back a little bit. But if you are steadfast in the way that you make your own rules, people will end up respecting that. Here's some practical strategy advice: how to set boundaries. If you're not sure where to start, ask yourself these 3 questions. Where in my life am I saying yes when I really want to say no? Where in my life am I saying yes when I really want to say no? Number 2, what's stopping me from setting a boundary? Is it fear of rejection? Is it guilt? Is it obligation? Where in my life am I saying yes when I really want to say no? And what's stopping me from setting a boundary? And the third, what's the worst thing that could happen if I say no? What's the worst thing that could happen? Also, what's the best thing that could happen? If someone pushes back, try this. I know this is a different perspective from me. I know this is different from what I've done in the past, but I've realized that whatever boundary, I've realized that this is really important to me, and I hope that you can respect that. Most people will understand if you say it like that. And if they don't, well, that's on them. That's not on you. You must have the courage to be disliked. Setting boundaries, it means that some people are not going to like it. And that's okay. Because the cost of being liked by everyone is that you end up not liking yourself. Dr. Chatterjee points out that the most respected people aren't the ones who try to please everyone. The most respected people, they're the ones who stand by their values, even when it's uncomfortable. That doesn't mean being rude, being mean. It means respecting yourself enough to say no when you need to, and respecting others enough to allow them to do the same. So some final takeaways from this chapter are to stop relying on approval of others and start living authentically. 1, being liked isn't the goal. Being authentic is. 2, people-pleasing leads to resentment, burnout, and even, yes, health issues. 3, boundaries aren't selfish. They're essential for a healthy life. 4, the right people will respect your boundaries. The wrong people will resist them, and either way, you win. And finally, 5, you don't need everyone to like you, but you do need to like yourself. Dream Team, your time, your energy, and your peace of mind, they're too valuable to be spent chasing approval of others. And if you're ready for more game-changing insights from this book, Make Change That Lasts, you got to hit the follow button, because up next, we're diving into why embracing discomfort is the key to growth and how relying on comfort might actually be holding you back. I'll see you on the next one. And that's it, my friends. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Livin the Dream podcast. Share the knowledge that you gain with your friends and family and hold each other accountable. If this episode inspired you, share it with a friend who could benefit from what we talked about today. To support this podcast and help it grow, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on, and leave a review telling others how this podcast benefited you. Please leave a comment on this episode letting us know how you're incorporating building healthy boundaries and being yourself. You can do that on YouTube or Spotify. This is a non-cost way to help get this important wellness content into more people's ears. Tag me at livingthedream_podcast or at Coach Damien_SD and let us know how this episode benefited you. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. We want to know. Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that would help your Livin the Dream team that we can discuss on future episodes. I will be right here with you, working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.